Hello and welcome to the Closer's Playbook, a podcast about selling your services as a freelancer. I'm Pete Beber, here with my co-host Tyler Poole.
How you doing, Pete?
Doing well. Good to see you.
You as well.
Same shirts as as another episode we just recorded.
For everybody listening, they're like, "What are you talking about?"
So we were talking earlier. I sent you a tweet a while ago from @web@WEB on Twitter, and it said, "Eventually, the discounted price becomes the price." And I sent it with, "I 100% agree." And you responded?
I think I said, "You'll have to explain this."
Yeah. So I guess first glance, first hearing that, what comes to mind for you?
When I see that, I'm like, you should not offer a sale on your services, because sooner or later the customer is going to expect that. It becomes a race to the bottom. You know, your pricing hopefully has been set intelligently from the start. So why discount it? Is that what you get?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Race to the bottom stood out to me. Yeah. I think we probably see this with a lot of things, right? There's plenty of courses online where every 3 months they run a discount.
Sure.
So I'll just wait till the next one. Well,
Black Friday,
it's like, I'll just wait to get a TV until November. So eventually that discounted price becomes the price, right? Yeah. If you're selling a service and you're constantly leading with a discount, you might as well change your price.
Right.
So I think, as opposed to discounting a price.
Well, and I would say, especially in my business, I'm primarily an SEO. My job just keeps getting harder every year. It's not like my job is getting easier. Google is smarter than ever. They've got their stupid robots that crawl your website. And now they've got, at the time of this recording, we've got a big update coming out for core web seed vitals. And there's all these things. Why would I discount my product when my job is just as hard, if not harder, than it was a year ago?
Well, and other prices go up over time.
Yeah.
Just standard inflation, right? Prices are going to continue to go up. So why would you continue to go down? Right. And I think it brings up a good discussion around pricing and discount, right? Some people would ask, when should you discount then?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think this is a good discussion for how would you approach a customer coming to you and saying, "Hey, can I have a discount?" So let's role play something real quick. I'm customer and you're selling me whatever, Gizmo XYZ.
Some service, right?
Sure. Yeah. And I say, "Hey, Pete, everything looks good. I like your proposal. But this price, is there any way we can get a 20% discount for the first 3 months or something? Make sure that this is a good deal for both of us."
So you say for the first 3 months, I guess, what is it about the first 3 months that you're concerned about with the price?
Well, we've had other business relationships working on this particular service before, and obviously we're shopping around, so they didn't work out. So, before we jump into something a year, 2 years, whatever, a long-term contract, it would be nice to build that rapport at a lower price.
Okay. So it sounds like you have maybe been burned in the past, and your main concern is that you don't want to be stuck in a long-term contract.
You got it.
Okay. So I don't discount my services, but I recognize that there's a risk that you're putting out there. You've had a poor experience in the past. Would you be opposed to something in our contract that says at the 3-month mark we can reevaluate, and so we don't lock you in to a long-term contract? You have the right to cancel the contract after 3 months.
Yeah. That's perfect. What happens when they keep digging?
So what would be a digging question?
Well, if I had said something like, that makes a lot of sense, but it's still this price seems a little steep, Pete.
Maybe I'm not fully addressing the concerns that you have. We ran over X, Y, and Z. That's the problem that, as I understand it. Am I wrong?
I'm not
there?
selling enough gizmos, Pete.
so you're asking for a discount. Is it that my services are not priced appropriately?
Well, they're too expensive.
Too expensive. I guess my question there is, do you feel like after what we've gone through that I won't be able to deliver?
No, you sound knowledgeable. I think you can.
And I want to be sure too, because sometimes it's not a fit, the pricing versus the services that you're looking for. We talked a lot about the business and the need for this service, why it's so important, and the return that you're expecting. So I guess my question there is the difference between my price and your expected return too narrow?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and so jumping out of character now.
Sure.
I think that the way you ended that and the way you kept pushing was good, and it gets onto a conversation of pricing yourself appropriately and selling that value.
It's setting an expectation, a few expectations, right? I value myself and my services. I believe in my services to the point that I'm not just going to give it away. Right. If somebody's giving it away and it's so cheap, there's the saying, you get what you pay for. Right. So we're now better aligned if I'm not discounting. If you're paying my full price, I have to deliver. So there's pressure for me to deliver. Mm-hmm. Now, I just told you confidently that my price is a price that's going to work, unless you came back there and said, actually, yeah, like the return we were expecting, we thought would be bigger. That might be
that's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation. That's maybe we shouldn't be working together, or maybe the service, like maybe you need somebody who's a little bit cheaper. Mm-hmm. Or are all of these things that we ran through necessary for you? What are the most important? Maybe we start there. Maybe that widens the gap so that they have a better return on that investment. But it's interesting because people will always ask for if they're doing their job, they're going to ask you for a discount.
Sure.
Right? Because they need to maximize their margins. Right. And just like you do.
100%.
They need to keep their business going just like you do.
We're all trying to make money at the end of the day.
Right, we all got to pay,
right.
Pay our rent, pay our mortgages,
sure.
Buy our food.
Right, yeah.
And so they should be asking you for a discount. So I want you to be prepared for that conversation. And having gone through and understanding their business needs, what they're struggling with, and if you can't help them, then what's the point?
Right.
So that's why digging into a customer's needs, which we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about, is so important. If you understand their business, you understand what they're trying to solve for, and you see that you can fill that void, you can address that for them, mm-hmm. and your pricing isn't like crazy out of line, then why should you give up anything? You're going to contribute to their business. You're going to add value to their business. You need to be confident in that, mm-hmm. right? You might need to step up your game now because you've just said, sure. No, I'm not discounting. But I think the conversation around what's the concern you shared with me, you've been burned in the past. Mm-hmm. And 3 months is a good timeline for you to figure out. First of all, I think for your industry, 3 months is like a minimum almost, right?
Yeah, it's 6 months is more realistic.
Yeah. So you could even come back with that and say, look, the risk that the scenario you laid out, that risk was that we're going to be stuck with somebody who's not going to deliver, and we've got a contract with them for 1 to 2 years. Now, they might have to pay out that contract, or they could get into a fight with you because you think you feel like I am delivering, and they're like, no, it's not what we expected.
But that you just nailed it right there. That's a lack of setting expectations from the very start. It's not a pricing problem. It's an expectations problem.
They want some level of certainty. That's what you asked for. I want to know that if I hire you, you're going to deliver for me. Right. So yeah, that I think that problem could have easily been addressed by, well, let's build into this let's do a 12-month contract with an opt out at 3 months. It's your discretion.
Yep.
That way, I mean, there's a million things that can go sideways in a business.
Sure.
So their business might take a hit. Maybe there's a global pandemic.
Right.
How crazy would that be?
I know.
So
I can't imagine.
Yeah, and now you want a longer term contract because that gives you certainty.
Right.
Gives you a client for 12 months. That's nice to have. You know what you're going to be working on. And so I think in that scenario, let's do an opt out clause at 3 months. Mm-hmm. That gives you 3 months to get started. You could even push back and say, hey, how about we pick a metric to make sure we're moving in the right direction at 3 months? Or we build those metrics in, and monthly we sit down and make sure we're on target for those, because it's really going to take me like 6 months to really have that impact that you're looking for. It's really at the 6 month mark. But now I will concede that if we're not moving in that direction after 3 months, let's end it.
Sure. And that's nice because it's something that you can clearly outline in the proposal, in the expectations, and it's something that's set from the beginning. And it also, if they're, whatever, you're giving them $1,000 price point and they keep coming back at $750. Maybe that's not qualifying out that customer. Yeah. Maybe that's not the right customer for you.
Maybe they don't have capacity to pay. Maybe your rate is too high for them. Right. It's important for you to know.
It's actually interesting. One of my current clients, I've been working with him for 6 months, 7 months at this point. And over the course of conversations just about business and whatever not, I found out that he's had a couple SEO companies before, and they were these big scale marketing expert companies that were charging him significantly more than what I am. Mm-hmm. And I'm able to go pretty lean just because it's me and a couple VAs. Mm-hmm. But they priced themselves out of that client. And they probably couldn't, because they're bigger and they offer more services than I do. But they price themselves out of this client where we're getting along great, where I'm getting what he needs done. And I don't think I've seen some of their work, and I don't think they were doing a bad job. They just priced themselves out. They weren't a good fit.
Right. That also might tell you that maybe you could price higher.
I've already added on to his services a couple times.
Yeah, not necessarily with that customer, right? But like in the future, you can make that note of like,
sure,
others are charging for similar services more than what I am.
100%.
So you can ask yourself like, what do I need to do to make sure that I feel confident that at that price level, I'm gonna do a good job for those customers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So I think discounting. Look, it happens. Discounting happens all the time, actually. Right. But when you're leading with discounts, it's a race to the bottom. You're sort of cutting your legs out from underneath you.
So here's a question that just came up. When is an appropriate time to discount?
So I just try not to discount
ever.
I try not. I mean, if your services are priced appropriately, your services are a match for what they need, then why are we discounting? Right?
You can't think of any scenario.
Sure. I've definitely discounted. Sometimes you see that there's a lot of opportunity with a customer. And so you say, you know what, maybe you do for that first 3 months, you say, we'll do a trial. I would rather do something like, look, I'm not going to discount for these first 3 months, but we'll at the 3 month mark, if you don't opt out and you continue the contract for the next 9 months, so we'll do a year contract, 3 month opt out, then I will credit you back a month of service, but I'll spread it out over those 9 months.
Okay.
There's risk there.
Sure.
What if
100%.
What if you want to do another year with them?
I was going to say there's risk anytime a contract negotiation is going to come up,
right?
Or yeah.
But sometimes you get creative. Like, I mean, look at how like apartment leases happen. Sometimes they'll do like the first month is free. Sometimes they'll do 1 month free, but we spread it out over 12 months.
Sure.
Right? You got to commit to 12 months with me.
What about if, so a lot of people are going to be shopping 3 companies, let's say 5 companies,
Common.
whatever, right? Yeah, very common. And they come back and say, okay, I've got a bid from these 3 people. You're here, but then the company B, whatever, your company A, company B is offering me 20% off for the first 3 months.
Sure.
How do you come back with that? Is that
I don't know company B.
Is that a situation where you compete?
I mean, I don't know company B. I might ask, look, I'm not familiar with what they're offering you. Mm-hmm. I'm not familiar with their level of competency. Mm-hmm. So I feel really confident that I can deliver to you at this price what you're looking for. Where to the point where I don't have to discount my services. So if there's a gap, if they're addressing something that we haven't talked about, like let's make sure that we're, addressing all the right things.
We're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah. So walk me through what company B is offering. You don't have to tell me the price. That's fine. But walk me through the services that they're offering, and then let's compare with the services that I am, because I want to make sure. First of all, I'm priced appropriate. Maybe I'm not priced appropriately. I'm open to that being an option.
Okay.
Maybe they are a better fit for you. I'm okay saying that. Mm-hmm. Just today, I was talking with a customer, and we were looking at 2 tiers, right? And the second tier was substantially higher. The offering was substantially higher, like 7x.
Oh wow!
Okay. So
different ballpark. I mean, that's not even close.
Right. But for most businesses, that price still is something that they wouldn't notice in another part of their business.
Okay.
So just knowing that it's like $1 billion revenue company,
okay,
right? So they have stuff that costs way more than that every day that they don't even think about.
Fair enough. Okay.
But this is new for them. It's new. So for them, they're going, "Oh my God, that's so expensive." And I just tell them, look, I don't even know if that's appropriate for you. Like I don't want to get into the pricing conversation before we know what is the right option for you.
And now you're back at the qualifying and discovery stage.
Well, and I'll tell you, so the more I said, look, I don't know. I don't know if that's, you might not, none of these might make sense to you. Like, I can't tell you, I can tell you what it costs and I can tell you what it includes, but we've talked for 15 minutes here. I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know what's important to you.
Maybe one of our next episodes will be called I Don't Know.
Yeah. Well, but I just kept saying, like, I think a lot of times in sales, we want to be selling the whole time. And it's like, this is great. This is an awesome service. I'm going to do such a great job for you. Please pick me. Right?
Yeah.
But we really, if we take a step back, sometimes you need to slow down to go fast. When you take a step back and you go, I want to understand what's important to you, what matters. Because I'll tell you this is what I said to the guy. I said, I have some customers who don't do either of those. I have some customers who choose option A because this is what they're trying to accomplish.
Okay.
I have some people choose option B because they want to accomplish this.
Sure.
And I don't know what you're looking to accomplish. So what I'd like to do is, since you haven't really seen this, I think I have enough information to share with you what's typical for what we've talked about. Mm-hmm. But what I would need from you is, we'll walk through a demo, but bring people who would tell you this is insane. Bring people who are like, I have concerns. I have questions. People who, if we started to work together and we're implementing this project, they could say no, and it shuts it down. And he goes, you know what? I actually think that option B, the 7x more expensive option, I could see it making sense. Actually, if we did this, like it's actually pretty palatable, and I think that it might work. I haven't told him. I don't know enough about his business. I said, look, that might be possible. I kept telling him, but I don't know. Like we need to have more. We need to have a deeper conversation, and we need to have other stakeholders who could say no to this come in, because if they have concerns, let's figure it out up front.
Right.
Let's not, you and me, have a half a dozen calls of an hour each going through what this is like. You getting resources on your end to implement, me getting resources on my end, and then it all falls apart when the check gets written.
Right. Yeah. That
So
makes sense.
the more I kept telling him, I don't know, and look, I don't know your situation. I need more information. The more he kept telling me, actually, I could see how that one would fit.
He started to sell himself.
He started to sell himself, and we never talked about a discount, not once, because instead I talked in terms about what's important to you. I looked to understand. So that's different than a lot of people do. If I understand what I told him, I said, I need to understand what's important. Here's a half a dozen things I'm doing with other companies because these are priorities for those companies.
Right.
This thing happens to address it. All of those. But how we do it is the question.
Right. And customizing the solution that works for them,
Mm-hmm.
and budget's just one aspect of that.
Right. And I told him, I was like, look, I don't even know if it makes sense for us to work together yet. And the more I pushed back on that, the more his wheels were spinning of like, but wait, I could, like, I'm thinking of things. Well, now every time he tells me those things, I jot it down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if I did it this way, this is easy to get approved.
Yeah.
Okay, easy to approve like this. I mean, I literally was just typing it into my OneNote and going, okay, this is important to him. This is important to him. If he's mentioning things that make my highest priced service, my highest price offering make sense, well, then there's something there. It has legs.
Thank you for helping sell this at the price that we've already established.
Right, because I don't have the ability to discount in this scenario. I don't have the ability to discount. What we could do is we could go to a lower level of service.
Right.
But if that's not going to be a fit, I even said to him, I was like, look, if you're trying to scale back to stay within a price, that's not a recipe for success.
It might not be.
And I might rather say we just don't do it. Maybe there's another time that would be better.
Mm-hmm.
Really, by the way, really hard to do when you are sole proprietor.
100%.
I recognize, but even for me, who works for a company selling something, it's not easy for me to do. I have quotas.
Sure.
I have, I have KPIs. I have metrics that I need to meet.
And it's even harder it's just as hard for somebody like myself who, if I don't sell, I don't eat. You know,
right.
Like if I don't have clients, then bills don't get paid.
You're like straight commission sales rep.
Basically, yes.
And so what's interesting though is sort of with the slow down to go fast, kind of that frame of mind is, and this is something that is hard to follow through on. Even for me today, I struggle with it. I think I've even mentioned something about it in a past episode, but I have somebody who's talking to me right now about the potential to work with me and pay me.
Right.
And they're going to need to tell me hard no. But if they're not a fit, I've gone down the path of trying to sell something to somebody for 2+ years, and then it all falls apart. Right when we think everything is going to go, my internal champion and at the company and myself, and then it gets shot down because I didn't make sure that I brought in the right people and understood what they cared about and what was really important to that business. And so look to understand, because if you put stuff to the side and you don't address it, and you don't fully know if you can work with that person, and you've spent all that time and energy not working with people who are a right fit for you, who aren't going to beat you up on price in the end, because you've demonstrated to them that your service at that price point makes sense. That people who want to work with you, it's really hard. It's really hard
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you have a huge pipeline, you're going, well, I need to sell something. So I recognize that it's hard. It's hard for me still today, but I do notice that when I do it right, when I look to understand, when I get all the pieces together, when the answers when I'm asking questions and they're like, we talked about it. Like we can't think of anything else. Like you've exhausted us with questions. And we feel comfortable with what you've presented, then, you're done. You've probably got a customer there, and you're probably doing full price. And what's funny
I was
too,
gonna say, at that point, there's no talk of discount because
when do we start?
They want it just as much as you do. Yeah.
Right. And that's best case scenario, and it can happen, and it can happen multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really look. The other thing too about discounting is, like you mentioned, there's companies out there that charge more.
Mm-hmm.
They're in business. They have employees.
Right.
They're charging more. So then you coming in at potentially a lower price and then discounting further you're getting further away from.
You're going the wrong direction.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So I would be really, really hesitant to discount, but I would prepare yourself for the conversation.
I like it. Yeah, I think that's a better solution than having discounting as part of your arsenal.
Mm-hmm. Discounting's easy
because then, and you, like you said, it's a race to the bottom. It's the wrong way. We're trying to make money. We're trying to sell our services for what they're worth, as much as we can, and what they're worth.
Well,
and,
what's fair?
You're right. And that's a great one. Fairness is a whole nother topic, but
yeah, we can talk about that for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, so do you have anything else on discounting that you want to add?
Yeah, I want to just say, like, I think it's like, I'm not a freelancer, right? You live that every day. So it's easy for me to say some of these things, but I also say it because I think it's really important, because I've been living on commissions, and it's, you close enough deals at enough, profit margin, or you don't get your check.
And that being said, I don't remember the last time I discounted anything. Well, I bundled things and been like, okay, look,
bundling is creative. Yeah.
If you'll do, you want these 3 services. Normally they would all be, let's, for simplicity's sake, say, actually, this is one that I used recently. A gentleman owns a local business. He's got 3 locations. Each one, it's one website, but each piece has a little additional work. So I said, for simplicity's sake, let's just say I said $1,000 per location. Normally, I'll do all 3 for $2,500. It's not really a discount; it's a bundle. You can look at it however you want, but the work is less because there's one website.
So you're factoring in that it's going to take you less to do that. That might be a time where you go, yeah. Right. Look, so it's a little bit easier for me because of the way that you're set up. I'll knock a little bit off.
Right. But it's not a discount. It's because
it matches the level of effort.
Exactly. And it matches,
that's fair. If
what time I have to spend on it.
And if your proposal has 10 things on it and they go, well, actually, we don't need this. Now you decide, right? Am I a everything or nothing type? Or if I knock this off, if you do that, you have to know how much each of these services should cost.
Well, and don't put things in your proposal. For SEO, I have to be very specific about putting things in my proposal, because I can't promise results if certain things aren't in my proposal.
So I have 2 other things, and that one just reminded me. Put everything in the contract. If you gave a discount, put in discounted price for whatever time period that is. This discount expires with this contract. It does not renew with the contract, right? Because you need to set expectations, and you want to make sure that it's very clear, because inevitably, maybe that maybe that's an owner that you're working with, but maybe that owner passes it off to somebody else. Maybe they have short memory.
Right. Yeah.
They
do.
Put it down, right. And they always have a short memory when it comes to price.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
that's the first thing they forget about.
Easy way to get burned long term is not put that this is a very clear and explicit discount for a set amount of time.
I think maybe next episode we dive into proposals, because I think that's a perfect segment.
Yeah.
Or segue.
The other thing I wanted to say too is as a salesperson, with that being my job, I don't have 100 other things that I need to do. As a freelancer, you have your core competency, and so that's why we're talking here, right? Is because your core competency isn't the sales piece,
right?
And so we're just trying to give you, some things that you can leverage to put yourself in a better position to sell your services for what they're worth.
Things to think about when these conversations come up, because they will.
They will, yep. For sure. Yeah, I think. Don't discount.
Don't discount. We're not doing the discount double check.
Yeah,
right? There's no such thing.
Yes. Yeah. Love it. All right.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Make sure to follow us on all your podcast platforms, YouTube, all the places, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Later, Pete.